Hi everyone, I'm Dan Cantorna, Collinson's VP for Data Insights and Technology for Asia Pacific. In my role, I spend most of my time working with data, customer experience, and how we can bring those two together in loyalty programs to make them better and more compelling. So today I'll be talking to you about using data to fuel intelligent customer experiences. So first up, the pandemic has changed a lot. And why do I feel this is an important conversation for us to be having today? Well, because investment in data analytics is more crucial now than ever before. Both personally and professionally, the pandemic has changed the nature of business and the way that we interact with each other. With many of us working remotely, meeting in person less frequently, the world has moved online in order to stay connected. So be that through our work, our banking, our shopping, our socializing. Whereas before these were an in-person interaction, now we're more likely to be doing them using technology platforms such as WhatsApp or Instagram or e-commerce platforms such as Shopify. And as we've moved online, this is generating large amounts of data, which allows us to know our customers better. And in turn, it's creating an opportunity for us to reinvent the way that we do loyalty. At the same time, one of the major trends is that we're increasingly seeing a reduced ability to leverage third-party data due to fears of data protection, and things that are going away, such as cookies, email open tracking, and cross-application tracking, mean that we no longer have access to as many third-party data sets in order to be able to target our customers. And in the context of loyalty programs and customer relationships, this means that now having a grasp of our own first-party data is becoming increasingly essential. And if we want to be able to succeed in our objective of identifying loyal customers who can in turn generate revenue growth, this has got to be a priority. The good news is that from a data perspective, financial services providers hold a lot more information on their clients and customers than people in most other sectors do. However, some financial services providers, particularly the more traditional institutions, tend to have a lot of this data locked up in interdepartmental silos, which prevents them from gaining a full view of their clients' needs, and in turn from deepening their loyalty and being able to tailor their solutions based on the individual customer needs. So knowing that access to third-party data will soon be restricted, and that certain financial services organisations currently have siloed data set up, the time for change is now. We recently carried out a piece of market research where we spoke to 1,000 leading brands from Australia, Hong Kong and Singapore. And the vast majority revealed to us that they had major concerns around customer churn based on the fact that they are having restricted ability to access third-party data, and combined with the pandemic, the increasing demands around businesses to be able to react well in the digital context. Forrester recently revealed that businesses that have advanced, insight-driven business transformation capabilities are 2.8 times more likely to report double-digit year-on-year growth than those that are still at the beginner stages. We all know this. Many of us are far down the path of our data transformation initiatives. In order for your organisation to remain agile and relevant in the marketplace, the time to act is now. If we delve a little bit deeper into this, a recent piece of research from Salesforce looking at the state of marketing in Hong Kong shows that this is likely to become an ongoing and increasing challenge. So if we look at the average number of data sources that are required to know a customer and to be able to personalize messaging to a customer, we see that currently, on average, that's 9 data sources that need to be combined. And as we go into the future, that the number of data sources is increasing. So by 2022, it's expected that the average will be 15 data sources that need to be combined in order to understand our customer. So what this means is that it's not only important for us to have a grasp of our data, but also the number of sources that we need to combine is growing, and that's going to mean that it becomes increasingly difficult to do so. From our experience, when we look across the 1,400 financial services and banking clients, 90+ airlines and 20+ hotel groups, who in turn are supporting 400 million customers worldwide, those who've taken action over the last 12 months are gaining an advantage. while those who've made no changes are in a far more difficult situation than their competitors. And we can only see consumer demand increasing at a rapid pace as we come out of the pandemic, with increased consumer demand for brands to be able to personalize and react in an instant. Over half of customers today expect to see every interaction they have with a brand to be personalised in some way. And over 2/3 want their unique needs and expectations to be understood. This comes from another recent study from Salesforce. So for those of you listening to this, hopefully you'll be nodding and agreeing as you're already doing many of these things. However, I'm keen to share with you some of the anomalies from our recent research, featuring the respondents from 1,000 leading brands across Hong Kong, Singapore and Australia. So they revealed to us that there were some interesting anomalies in the way that people are responding to the data challenge. While many seem to have the right strategy in place that they need to overcome this challenge, they might not actually have the right tactics and steps in order to actually achieve the goal. And so today I'll leave you with 4 key actionable takeaways to ensure that you don't fall into this trap. So for many organizations looking to improve their loyalty, data and analytics processes, they tend to focus on these 5 key areas. So first, ascertain your place within the analytics cycle. And I'm going to talk about this a bit more on the next slide. Next, once you've done this, you want to streamline and sort out your data sources. Once this has happened, you can then start to create loyalty mechanisms within your customer base. And once those have been set up, you can apply automation and leverage artificial intelligence to really scale those processes up. And finally, once you have a working solution, you then need to benchmark, evolve and optimize, as the needs of your customers are ever changing and you need to continuously be able to respond and react to those changes. So let's take a look at the analytics cycle. So of the businesses that we spoke to, the vast majority set themselves at stages 4, 5 or 6. I'll just quickly explain what that means. So on the analytics cycle, we start at level 0, which is that we want to collect some data. We've got a rationale to do so. Level 1 is that we've started to collect some data. Level 2 is that data is being collected, but it hasn't yet been utilized to create any value. Level 3 is that there is now a need to interrogate data. There have been some questions identified that need to be answered. Level 4 is that we've started to ask those questions of the data and we've started to producing some value. Level 5 is when you've combined all your data sources together into a single customer view. Level 6 is that you've started to implement some sort of machine learning in order to drive a business outcome. And level 7 at the top end is where you have AI and predictive analytics fully embedded and baked in across business processes to ensure that we're driving value continuously out of our data asset. So for the businesses we spoke to, the majority set themselves at levels 4, 5 and 6. So either they're starting to think about how to ask questions of their data, they're bringing their data sources together, or they're beginning to use some machine learning processes to drive value. The majority of people were at level 5. They're still trying to solve the challenge of combining those data sources. On average today 9, but in 2 years it's going to be 15. So this indicates there's still a long way to go for many companies in this region on their analytics journey. And only 12% of businesses are right at the top end of that curve. And we can see that almost 20% are still further down the journey of being able to understand and decide what they want to do with their data asset. If we take a look at how this works out across sectors, we can see that financial services is in 3rd place, a close third behind retail, which is 2nd, and the majority of people still have some way to go. Now, if we look at this analytics cycle and where people place themselves on it based on job role, we see some interesting insights here. So frequently, the people who have the vision, so that's the heads of loyalty, the heads of customer experience, perceive themselves to be further down this journey than those who actually have to realize the solutions, comparing that with the heads of data and analytics, the CMOs and the heads of technology. We can see from this chart that there's often at least a 2-level discrepancy between them. And this plays out very similarly when we just look at the businesses in Hong Kong. So we then ask people, where would you like to be in 2 years' time? And the majority of respondents want to be at a level 6 or a level 7. The majority being level 6 at 37%. However, over a third, 33%, wanted to be at level 7 in 2 years' time. And that's great because people clearly want to move up that curve. However, there are some anomalies that I mentioned earlier that need to be overcome in order for people to really see the success and to get to these stages. So how does data analytics support business needs? So if we look at this, the most common requirement is being able to identify the most loyal customers. Second is to be able to reward those customers. Third is increasing revenue per customer. And fourth is identifying profitable trends. So I'm going to take those now and just give you an example of some of the anomalies that we observed. For instance, 35% of the total respondents believe that identifying loyal customers is important. However, just over a third of those also think that rewarding them is important. More worryingly, less than a third of those thought that identifying gaps to monetization is important. So therefore, despite the fact that 350 businesses are aware that it's critical to have loyal customers identified within a loyalty program, only 8% of them are going to succeed. And when you look at this in the market alone, you can see that the other 310 will not be successful because they don't realize that identifying data gaps is a requirement in order to be able to reward and identify those customers. And for the other 600 who aren't focusing on loyal customers, they're just spending marketing dollars on disengaged consumers, and they're not even competing in the same space as us, which is great news for us that are doing this already. If we contrast this with the statistics for Hong Kong, it's very similar. So, how can you make your loyalty dreams a reality? First up is build an interconnected loyalty approach. This means that data culture needs to go beyond the remit of the data team. All business areas and departments should be proactively thinking about and searching out opportunities to leverage the data that they generate. In turn, they should be looking to resolve any data quality issues that they have and considering about generating new data that's designed to support revenue generation and good business outcomes. Second is about identifying which data insights will monetize the program. So consider every step of the customer journey and consider every department that is involved at every step of the customer journey, and be thinking about what data insight could be used at every stage in order to generate revenue and increase monetization. In other words, everyone should be looking out for areas where we can improve the return on investment that we make in our programs. Third is provide relevant content and rewards. You can have the best personalization, the best targeting, but if you are targeting your customers with something which they don't want, you're going to have zero success. Personalization isn't enough. You need to show that you truly understand the values of your customers and what they need. Invest some energy, some time, some analysis in what your rewards should be, and this will yield a lot of good benefit to you and your program. Fourth is AI must be part of your strategy. So more than 50% of the people we spoke to are already using it in some way to hyper-personalize, be this from using AI to anticipate customer needs, or using AI to target content faster and more accurately, using AI to optimize campaigns, or using AI to even modify the communications where necessary. And if we look at where this is being played out, it's usually being used in apps the majority of the time, next up on site, in the call center, and in campaigns. And the recent McKinsey report says that there is 1 trillion of incremental value for banks that can be unlocked by leveraging AI. So in conclusion, the shift to online and increasingly restricted access to third-party data means that having a grasp of your own first-party data is key. Second, the most businesses have got clear data goals that they wish to achieve. Their strategy can reach these goals can be misdirected. And third, in order to achieve your loyalty goals, be sure to include the 4 takeaways provided today. I hope you find this helpful. If you'd like to learn about anything else that you've heard today, please feel free to contact me directly or to reach out to Collinson. We'll be happy to help. Thank you.